Thank you.
I'll make sure to put the slide up after we're done, sir, so everyone can see where the book is.
My daughter asked me the other day what the name of it was, and I said, I don't remember, because once I finish it, literally, I move it away and I forget about it, and I just go on to the next book, which I'm starting to about art. And really excited about this next one that really is going to get into a lot more details of why art is art and the effect he had and what are the elements that made art, and his effect on other people. So, I'm listening to a pastor talk this morning. Let me know when Omar's on.
Yes, sir, Coach. I'm looking out for him right now.
I was listening to a pastor this morning. I've heard him before in the same talk. And he said, we all come from dysfunctional families. You ever know, well, he comes from a dysfunctional family. We're all dysfunctional. Every last one of us is dysfunctional. We don't think we are. We think the other guy is. But our backgrounds and our families basically determine whether or not we're functional or dysfunctional. But if there's a family across the street that is functional and your family is dysfunctional, what is the best way to start becoming functional? Start hanging around with the people that are functional. And same way here, that's what the purpose of these calls. I'm not saying we got it all together, but we've accumulated some money and made some money. And I saw this guy driving around. I'm in Detroit. He was driving this old beat up car, Daryl. Only Detroit can drive cars that bad. And I said, I know who he's been associating with. I know where he came from. And he needs a new playground and new playmates. And that's what Omar and I are doing here, giving a new financial playground with new financial playmates. Good morning, Omar.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing good. How many days until your son leaves?
Actually, 2 weeks as of today.
I was talking to John Roy years ago when his son, Johnny, who's now probably 55.
Yeah, he is.
And he said when his son, Johnny, which was the firstborn, went to college, they sent him off or whatever they did, and he went up to his room, sat on his bed, and bawled.
Yeah, well, that's probably what I'm going to do. Actually, we'll be driving home. We're going to go up for 3 days to move him in, bed sheets, towels. We got to get all that stuff. And then we go move him in. And then we drive home. So me and Danielle will be crying all the way home, I'm sure. And then we fly to California the next morning on a Primerica trip. So hopefully that'll distract us a little bit. It won't distract us a lot, but it'll distract us a little bit. So.
And by the way, every child doesn't make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when Patrick went to college, and we got there, and we were getting emotional. We dropped him off, and we had lunch with him, and then we didn't know what quite to do, and he looked at us and said, "Sorry, I'm on my cell phone. These people calling," and he said, "I gotta go. I gotta play some volleyball with some friends." And he ran off, and we stood there looking at each other. This emotional moment wasn't emotional for him. But their last child, Andrew, I'll never forget when we dropped him off. Carol and I just sat and had lunch afterwards and just didn't say a word for 30 minutes. And so
I remember dropping them off to elementary school. So I dropped Brady off and we leave the room, and there's this little two-way window where you can look in and they can't look out because it's a mirror. And me and Danielle were just looking at him, and we were just crying, like tears were coming down. And he went and played with the other kids, had a good time. And then we dropped off Olivia, and Olivia was like, "Bye, Dad. Bye, Mom. See you guys later." She was very happy to stay. And we were walking out the door crying. And so it's just another part of life
Yeah,
and
whether
another
you're,
stage.
my daughter was senior in high school and wasn't asked out for the senior prom.
Wow.
So talk about, she's happily married now. It's one of those
Yeah.
things. It's a small school, and the boys of the school can ask girls from other schools, but the girls can only date the guys in the school, but because you're right, because that's the one they
Wow.
know. So anyway, they got through it all, and Omar, one of the things I wanted to talk about today, there's a contagious spirit in our society of aimlessness, where winging it becomes the standard. And when I am financially aimless, nothing goes well. And talk about that. And Omar, how do you get? I heard this the other day, which I like. The kids today, like everybody else says that, the kids today get a bow and arrow, and they shoot the arrow to a piece of wood. Then they run over and draw a bullseye around the arrow and say, "Hey, look, I hit the bullseye." And whatever they hit, they think that must be the bullseye because I hit it. Talk about that, Omar, and how going around financially aimless eventually will wear you down, and you won't have any energy to do anything. If you're not waking up in the morning saying, "I'm going to make some money today. How many times, Will Thompson, you woke up? Did you wake up morning and say, "How much money am I going to make today"? I don't think you did.
I wake up every morning and check my blast report. It's like Christmas, and I look at what I got paid last night. So in the last 2 nights, I've been paid like $20,000, $21,000 in the last 2 nights.
But when you started out, you didn't have that blast report telling you how much money you made. So
I would always call. There was an 800 number you could call. I don't know if you remember that or not. There was an 800. It was 1-800-722-4368. And the reason I remember it is I used to call it every single day and hope that there was a check there. Like, it was Christmas time. I was like waiting to see, is a check there? But I go to sleep every night, Bill, laying in my bed, envisioning about building my business bigger, how much more income that'll give me, how much more of a quality life I will get, how much more I'm able to invest, how much of a bigger legacy I could leave. And I wake up with the exact same thought. I'm tortured. I mean, my wife tells me that I'm tortured because that is all that I think about. And I'm like, well, honey, you should look at it like you are blessed because I am tortured. Because I am tortured, you have everything you want in your life and then some, But I wake up every day with the plan, how much money did I make today? When I get home at night, you could ask my wife and Olivia and Brady, I'll walk in and I'm like, I just made $2,200 today. I just made $1,500 on my own pen. I just did this. I just did that. And I tell them it's like an advertisement so that the nights that I come home and I don't tell them that, they go, hey, how much money did you make today? I said, well, luckily we got overrides because I didn't personally make any today, but we made probably about $5,000 at least. So I just think about it all the time.
I've got grandkids, and some of them work in the wintertime, shovel snow and have part-time jobs and such. And every time I see them, I say, how much money are you going to give me? Because whatever money you give me, I double it.
Yep.
And I've got, of course, I put money in monthly for them, and a couple of them don't put any in. I got this one, he's 17. He just gave me $1,000, so $2,000 is going into his mutual fund. Multiply that out times 50 years. And I said to him, if you do it my way, I'm going to get you to be a millionaire by the time you're 30. Now, how many people talk to children like that?
I do it all the time.
You know why? Because your consciousness is there.
Yeah.
And if you talk to people about football's coming, and all you do is talk about football. That's your consciousness. Whatever you're talking about all the time, The thing I had to do, Omar, in the early days when I was in it, building it like you, was turn every conversation into a money-making conversation. No matter what they're talking about. Why? Because you want them, because that's what you're thinking about, and you want them to be thinking about what you're thinking about. Like the old adage, find a rich man, take him to lunch, and pick his brain. People don't do that. They pick your brain about inane things. Omar?
Well, if you remember, that's how I met you. Is I was making $250,000 a year, and I was like, I want to meet Bill Arender. So I planned one of our trips to Dallas. There's a place called the Mansion on Turtle Creek. It's a real romantic little place, and it was on Travel Channel. Me and the wife used to watch Travel Channel all the time and then choose places. We're going to go there. And so I went there and I called your office and I left a message and I said, hey, my name's Omar Oropesa. I'm a $250,000 earner in Primerica. I'm in town. I would love to, if it's possible, drop in and visit with you. I was hoping you'd call back, but I didn't know if you would because you didn't know me and you called me back.
I knew of you because of Nick.
Okay. Well, you called me back and I was like, I'll be right over. You invited me over to your house and I hung up like a little schoolgirl and was jumping up and down. And my wife, I said, honey, we're going to Bill Arender's house. I was so excited because I knew you're a legend. You were wealthy. I could learn some stuff. I could build a relationship with you. And we went to your house and we spent 3 hours there. I mean, we talked, we got to know each other. Then you invited me to do a school for you after that. So I must have impressed you a little bit. And so I've always done that. I've always like, I've made an effort to learn and build relationships with wealthy people that I admire. Not just any wealthy people. To me, I wanted a person that I could learn from in all areas, all walks of life. Like I remember Bill Whittle called me one time to do a school for him. And I was probably I just crossed $500,000 in income. And like, look at the guts that I had, Bill. I said, well, Bill, I'll come under one condition. And that one condition is that you and your wife have breakfast or lunch with nobody else but me and Danielle. And he was like, well, I could do that, no problem. And the reason I did that is because I'd always heard about, his kids, and we were looking at starting to have kids. And so I wanted to ask him questions, not only about the business, making money, but how did you raise your kids? What did you do? What are some mistakes that you made that you wouldn't do again? And so he said, no problem. So we went to do the school, but we had like a 2-hour breakfast, just Bill, Leslie, me, Danielle. And Leslie told Danielle a very interesting, thing. She said one of the mistakes that I made was that I still traveled around with Bill to do builder schools and events. And if I had to do it over again, I would not have done that. I would have stayed home with the kids and let Billy go on his own. And so we asked her why, and she said, well, time flies. It goes by so quick, and I snapped and they were gone. And so me and Danielle talked about it that night, and we're like, okay, when we have our kids, we'll have a period of time in our life where if they ask me to do a builder school or I got to go away or this and that, I'm going to go without you. I don't like traveling without her. Okay? I don't enjoy traveling without her, but we love our kids, and we had that wisdom that they gave us. The one thing they would do differently And we had the choice to either listen to it, take the coaching, right? And we did that. And so now that our kids are grown up and they're great kids, we attribute a lot of that to they were always around mom, they were always around grandma and grandpa, they were around me a lot. And we never just left them all the time. A lot of Primerica people just leave their kids a lot. And we didn't do that. One of us went on the business trip or the meeting or whatever, and the other one stayed home.
One of the things I like to talk about, Omar, is some of the things, little habits that you created to continue to feed the money consciousness. And as an example, Art taught me, you heard me say this, but it's our topic today. When you ever have a meeting, you start taking notes. In the edges, write down your net worth goal 100 times. Again, I was for decades and decades and decades in the night and in the morning, go through the Think and Grow Rich. I'm now making blank. My faith is so strong that I can now see the money before my above at night and in the morning, religiously. I did my net worth statement every month. Did my own
estimate every month.
Every month I figured out my net worth, and like you, I multiplied that out. When my net worth was 100,000 and I was 32 years old, 33 years old, I multiplied that out. What's that going to look like when I'm 65? I played that mental game you heard me talk about with Carol. Then we went out to dinner and we paid, $100 for a meal. And I started looking and calculating and how much that $100 would be compounded, doubling every 6 years for the next, 40 years. And I found out that the dinner was $3,000. As an example, my son-in-law with his kids, because he knows I double everything, one of the kids said, I want to buy this. He said, what does it cost? He said, $40. He said, no, it doesn't. It cost 80. 80? Says here 40. So no, if you give it to granddad, he's going to double it to 80. And you're 17 years old. And that 80 will double every 6 years. Got the point?
Yeah.
So that's really 166 years, then 320, then 640, then 1,200, then 2,400. This thing here, this $40 really is going to cost you about $3,000. You see how if you don't play those mental games, it becomes out of sight, out of mind. Talk about some of the things you did, Omar.
Well, Bill, just like you, if you notice, this is my book, and this is where I track my net worth every month. And it's right here at my desk, right next to me. And I do that. And when I turn 79, Bill, 79, how old are you? 80, right?
Yes.
So when I turn 79, I calculated it. I'll have $305 million. $305 million. Now my wife's 6 years younger. She'll be 73. So when my wife turns 79, we should double that to 600 million. And then one more double, and we're a billionaire, $1.2 billion, and that's a goal of mine, to become a billionaire, right? Like, why not become a billionaire, right? But that was a goal of mine years ago, and I knew in order to accomplish that, I needed to get as much money invested as early as possible so I had time to work with, right? I had time to work with. My kids, I talk to them all the time. Like their money, they got about 880 grand in their trust funds. Well, they're 18. So you do the math on 850,000 at 18, and you do it every 6 years, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60, 66, 8 times. You do that, 850, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're like billionaires. They're billionaires. So not only me and Danielle want to get to $1 billion, we wanted to make sure Brady and Olivia, on their own money that they'll never use, get to $1 billion. And we talk to them all the time about it takes 5 generations of smart decisions to create such massive wealth that it cannot be destructed. It takes 5 generations. And we tell them all the time, me and your mom were generation 1 of that. We are going to get you started. You and Brady are generation 2 of that. Your children, our grandchildren, will be generation 3 of that. You got to teach them what we teach you. We'll be gone. You're going to have to teach your grandchildren because we won't be here, but hopefully your kids will teach them. 5 generations down of starting to invest and understanding investments. And so I've just always done that. I've tracked net worth just like you did. I wasn't as crazy as you, like going to a restaurant and not wanting to spend $100.
I haven't changed.
I know. Well, you've treated me to some eloquent McDonald's meals over the past, but you've also treated me to some steak dinners that were really, really good too. So we're slightly different in that, but I think the advantage that I had is I probably got to $1 million younger than you did, maybe, right? How old were you when you accumulated your first million?
39.
Right. So I was 35 years old. So I was a little bit younger. So time and that we keep growing our income, we're at 2.2 million now with our other code number. So we have more, even though the IRS gets a big chunk of that, we have more cash to invest. And I've been lucky in that nobody lives off me, Bill. I mean, other than my wife and kids, right? So I don't have parents or in-laws that need to live off of me. I don't have brothers and sisters who are asking me to give them money. Everybody's pretty good. So I have that advantage too, because I know a lot of people have to help their parents and their in-laws and their brothers and their sisters out. I don't have to. Everybody's good. Everybody's in good shape. I mean, I give gifts and all that kind of stuff and trips and all that, but I don't have to help them on an ongoing basis. So I just did pretty much what you did. Think and Grow Rich. Have a budget. I have a budget. I'll tell you, I hate having a budget, but actually, I don't hate having a budget. I love having a budget because when you have a budget, it's you telling your money what to do. And when you don't have a budget, your money tells you what to do. And I don't like nobody telling me what to do. So I have a budget. And because of having a budget, I've never struggled, Bill. Even in the year 09, this is important. In the year 09, we had the Chinese drywall thing happen to us. We had our stock, our Citigroup stock went to under $1 a share. Our mutual funds dropped almost in half, and our income went down $250,000. All that happened at one time, right? And I was like, God, what have I done to make you mad at me, right? But there was a lot of lessons in there. But one of the most valuable lessons is because I had a budget and always lived under my means, tremendously under my means, with all that mess that happened, we did not have to change our lifestyle at all. Where a lot of people in those years had to claim bankruptcy, lost their homes, went, heart attacks they had because of all the stress they had. I had none. So I love having a budget. My budget is right here at my desk. And every month, let me just take it out. Every month, last month just ended. It's all there. It's all highlighted. It's old school. Right? It's old school because I do everything old school. And I highlight every bill as it gets paid. I know what the Amex is and the MasterCard is. And I just try to I live a good quality of life. I mean, I live in a mansion. I got Bentley. I got all this stuff. But I live on way less money than I make, and that is the key. You got to learn to do that when you're making 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, because it's a habit. It's a freaking habit. And if you create that habit early on, when you make big money, you'll still have the habit. What everybody thinks is, when I make more money, then I'll invest money. And I call bullshit on that. Because if you're not smart with your money when you're making 50,000, 100,000, you're not going to be smart with it at $1 million, $2 million. Hell, I know guys that earn $1 million a year for years that have no money. I won't name names, but you know them and I know them. And it's because they had all the flashy cars and the vacation villa and the other vacation villa and their mansion over here. And they're doing all that dumb stuff while you and I are accumulating money. Because one day your money takes care of you. Let me give you this example. When I bought my Bentley last year, my Bentley cost $400,000. I know that probably gives you a heart attack, though, to spend $400,000. But if I take 400 grand divided by $18 million that I had cash last year, that is 0.02%, not 2%, 0.02. So that means my investment account, when it goes up by 0.02, then my Bentley was free. My investments paid for it, not my income. So my income keeps coming in. I keep investing my income when, or you told me that you bought a gym with the dividends of your investments, right? So that's where you want to get to. You want to get to a point where whatever you want to buy, you don't buy it with your income, you buy it with your dividends or your capital gains or your appreciation of your investments. And 0.02%, that made me go, I could buy the Bentley. It's only 0.02%. When I get 0.02 growth, which I'll get in a week, then I'll be good. And so anyways, we actually just crossed 19 million bucks actually. So we're at 19 million. Isn't that something?
Congratulations, Omar. But it's not just making money, it's doing the right things with it. Are you on, Omar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bouncing around on my thing here. One of the things that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now as we're talking is, I'm trying to find you. Anyway, why? Why do you want to be worth $1 billion? Why do you want to be worth $2 million? Why? I saw this wonderful movie, and it's called A Million Miles Away. It's about the first Hispanic astronaut. Great movie. And Jose Hernandez is his name. And the struggles he had to go through to qualify, even to get in the program, most people wouldn't do because it's too difficult. And he said, when his wife said, why do you want to be an astronaut so bad? I love his answer. I don't know. I don't know why people insist on getting an answer as to why we want it. And you heard me say this. When I was 16, if you said to me, why do you like girls? I don't know.
I just do.
Why do you like making money? I don't know. I just do. Well, did your parents beat you? Did you come from nothing? I don't know. No, they didn't beat me. They put food on the table. I don't know. I don't know why there has to be a motivation. I think when God puts something in your heart, you're going to find out later down the road. I love what Andy Young said. I didn't come here to take care of the homeless and build orphanages and donate to charity. I came here to make and accumulate money. And then when I did, and I got wealthy, I started donating it, and I started building orphanages. You see, you're not going to have, talk about that, Omar, a clear, concise reason why I don't know why you should be a billionaire, but maybe you can have, be one of these oligarchs that they get mad at, right? Oligarchs, right? They're mad. No one should be a billionaire. These guys are politicians that make all their money off the backs of taxes. And they never contributed $1 to the economy in their life. They've been takers. And they're trying to derail people from having a life with nobody's thumb on them because they believe so much in only government should take care of you. Omar talked about that and how we should not have to give people reasons or even understand the reason ourselves. Omar?
I think you don't have to give them a reason why you want to be rich, just like they don't have to give you a reason why they want to be broke and poor, right? I mean, anytime anybody ever asks me that, I always ask them, well, why do you want to be poor? I don't want to be poor. Yes, you do.
That's right.
Based on your actions, you want to be poor, middle of the road, just making ends meet. That's exactly what you want. So why do you want that? Well, I don't. Well, yes, you do. And so, I mean, there are some reasons I don't know why it's like still driven in me, but I could tell you that I want to be a billionaire because I want to be an example, not only to my children, but I like doing what I'm doing to be an example to all of the people in Primerica, all the people around me in my neighborhood, in my church, in my community. I want them to all think, if that guy could do it, I could do it too, because I know if we had more people making more money, the world is going to be a better place. It's not going to be a greedier place or nothing like that. People like you, like me, as you make money, we have big hearts and we want to do good with our money, So, I mean, one of the reasons I want to do it is to be an example, but that wasn't the reason I did it initially. I don't know why. Like you brought up, why do I like girls? I don't know. Why do I like football? I don't know. I love football. Why? I don't know. I just love it. Other guys hate football, American version, but love the international version of football. I hate that version. I don't know why. We don't have to know why.
The thing about it, Omar, is when you start reading the books I've read, and I love The Wealth Choice. I've read it 5 times in a row. And he says, what's in your head is in your wallet or your purse. So if it's not in your purse, it's not in your head. It's got to go in your head first. The second thing he said is your money mindset, your consciousness has got to be fostered and fed. Mike Tuttle talks about 2 dogs, a brown dog and a black dog, and they're fighting. Which one's going to win? The one you fed the most. Same thing here. What are you feeding? Omar, would you mind, please? It's disturbing me tremendously, and I got to caution you on that. That thing on your left wrist is bothering me.
Oh, why is it bothering you? The Rolex?
Bling! Oh my gosh, I need my sunglasses. Give me my sunglasses.
I have to tell you the story, okay?
I bet you got one.
I went to do Willie's school. And so Olivia asked me, can I go with you, Daddy? I want to go to Miami. I said, okay, let's go. So we go, and I go in, to the school, and we speak at the school. It's always, I love Willie's team. I love all the RVPs. It's just an awesome environment. So we go there, I do my talk, and then Willie recognizes us for crossing over $2 million, and the RVPs and everybody are there. And it's awesome. We leave, and Olivia's like, well, Dad, we're going to Whistler, Canada next week. I think I need a new dress. And I said, oh, that's why you wanted to go to Miami, huh? So I said, well, let's go to Coral Gables. Merrick Park is a very high-end area.
People have no idea of that Coral Gables area and how ritzy it is.
Yeah. So we go have a beautiful lunch in Coral Gables. And then as we're walking out to go to Neiman Marcus to look at dresses, there's a Rolex store. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Rolex for the last 5 years, ever since COVID, you walk in Rolex stores, they have them that you can try on, but not that you can buy. You got to wait, and you got to wait for years to get it. It's very, very hard to get a Rolex. Now, I have connections, so I'm able to get them. But this Rolex, the one I'm wearing, you cannot buy this Rolex unless you have spent $1 million on Rolex watches in your lifetime, and then they let you order it. The reason it's different is it's a presidential, but it's got the square diamonds around it. Normally they have the round diamonds around it. These have the square diamonds, and they're channel set. So it just looks like ongoing diamonds. It's got diamonds on the inside. Anyways, I walk in there and joking, I tell Olivia, let's go in there and look. You know they never have watches. She says, yeah, I know, let's go. So we walk in, and jokingly, I go, you don't have any Rolexes you can actually buy, right? She says, actually, we have right over there if you go look. So I walk over, and I'm a watch guy, so I recognize what it is. And I go immediately, is this the one that you have to? And he stops me. He says, yes, that's the one you have to order $1 million of Rolex. And I ask, how is it here? I mean, it's impossible to get. He says, one of our customers that has spent millions and millions on Rolex watches in his lifetime, an elderly man, he ordered it and he died. And it just got here this morning. I didn't even flinch, Bill. I gave him my American Express, and I gave him my driver's license, and I told him, I'm going to go with my daughter to look at some dresses, but I want this watch, so wrap it up, and I'll come back after we get the dresses. I didn't even ask how much it cost because I knew how much it cost because I had been looking at it for years, never thinking I could ever get it. And so we go and we get the dress, and the dress at Neiman Marcus, get this, Bill, you'll love this. It was $800, half off, and then half off of that. It was $200 because they had one left, and it just so happens that one fit Olivia perfectly. So I said, $200, we'll take it, right? And Olivia told me, well, even if it was $800, Dad, I would have made you buy it because if you're getting a Rolex, I'm getting an $800 dress. So luckily it was $200. We go back to the store. The watch was $108,000, Bill. $108,000. I'm feeling a little guilty as I'm leaving the store, right? I really am. But this is something that I've been looking at for 20 years, thinking I could never have one because I'm never going to spend $1 million on Rolex watches. And it was just there, and I had to buy it, right? The next day, I go to the Rolex store where I normally go in Boca Raton, and I wore it just to see what they would say. I was curious. So I walk in and everybody knows me there and they go, hey, what is that on your, is that the, and I go, yes, that's the one you got to order $1 million. She goes, oh, can I look at it? We've never seen one before. So I let her look at it. Now, this Rolex place has 290 stores across the USA, all Rolex authorized dealers. She looked in the computer. She said, there is not one in the 280 stores. She offered me $125 cash for it. She says, can you let me buy it from you for $125? Now, I just bought it for $108 2 days ago, so I could have made $17,000. But I told him, no, I want to wear it. I like it, so I didn't sell it. So anyways, that's my watch story. So whenever you're with me next, I'll wear it so you can look at it up close because it looks way nicer up close.
Could you at least get it close to the camera? Is there any way you can get it close to the camera?
Yeah, let's see.
Hold on, you keep moving around and I gotta keep finding you.
I'm not moving anything.
All right, okay, there you go. Wow. That's nuts.
It looks a lot nicer in real life though, trust me.
Oh, I bet. You know what people say, yeah, you guys are all about money. All you do is talk about money. I mean, there's more to life than money. Talk about that, Omar, and how we get that brain disease, that flu that captures us and won't let us free. And
well, anybody
the same guy, by the way, who says, my wife has to work. Not about the money. No, but if his wife quit work, he'd be dying tomorrow.
Anybody that tells you it's not about the money doesn't have any money. That's number one. Anybody tells you that, they have no money, and you need to clearly understand that. And it's not about the dollars, it's about what the dollars could get you. You know, right now, Tom Rice, please pray for Tom Rice and Christian David. They're both in Vita. They both have cancer. So please pray for them and their, wives and kids and families. But Invita's $250,000 just to get started. But I know 5 people that Invita has cured. 5 of my personal friends that had cancer that were told they were going to die, and they went to Invita and they lived. Okay? And so $250,000, it's not about the money. Oh, so then your wife dies. Your child dies because it's not about the money, right? It's about what the money could get you. It could get you the best health care. It could get you to live. They just came out with a report. Parkland, Florida, where I live, is the #1 least crime town in Florida. So it could get you to live in a town with the lowest crime. It could get your kids in the best private schools. It could get your kids to graduate from college with no debt. It could get your kids to driving not only a brand new car, but a car, if God forbid they had an accident, the odds are good that they live because they got all the airbags and the anti-lock brakes and all the systems in place. So it's not about the money. It's about what the money could buy. It's about the freedom of going on a 25-day trip to Europe and then not worrying about what it costs and creating those memories with your wife and kids that'll last forever and ever and ever. It's about giving a kid a hearing aid that costs $5,000 that he can never buy on his own that helps him stutter less, right? It is about so much more than stuff. The Rolex and the car, all of that's cute. If you told me you had to give up the Rolex and the Bentley to have all the other stuff, I'd have all the other stuff any day, and you would too, and Art Williams would too, and Hector Lamarck would too, and all of us would, right? So when they tell you it's not about the money, here's what I think. Now, I don't verbalize this, but this is what I think. This guy is a dumb ass. He is just clueless. He has no idea. I feel so bad for his wife and his children and his grandchildren because of his mental weakness and retardation. They are all destitute to a terrible life. That's what I think. Now, I don't verbalize that. I don't tell them that, but that's what I think.
And everyone who says that, they want their kids to get scholarships so they don't have to come up with, and they want the rich to pay for it. The rich should be paying their fair share. The rich should aren't contributing. They don't want to come up with any personal financial, yet they got all these issues and they want other people to pay for it. And Omar, we just have to draw a line in the sand and say, rich, poor, I'm going to be rich. And right. I love it.
It's a choice.
The wealth choice. He says, it's a choice. The wealth is a choice. And the thing that we're beseeching everybody on this call is, what choice are you making? If you're not making $100,000 a year and saving 30 or 40,000, you've made your choice. And you don't think, well, no, that's not the case. No, it is. It's all choice. Talk about that, Omar. And wealth is a choice from that book.
Look, I remember when I was earning $100,000 a year and I needed a place to live. I went and looked at little condos that were 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 800 square feet, where the mortgage was like $290 a month. And I was like, why are you looking there? Why don't you get a bigger house? I go, because 1, if I'm working, I'm never home anyways, other than to sleep. And 2, it's only $290 a month, and I can invest more money so that later on I can live where I really want to live, right? Everything comes down to you making decisions on a daily basis, right? I remember times we wanted to go on an Alaska cruise. And we had the money to do it, and we had the time to do it. We had no kids, so we could have done it. And me and Danielle were like, you know what? That 20,000, let's just invest it. Let's just invest it. We could do Alaska later. We could do this later. We could do everything later. Let's just, now, you always have those people. Well, what if you're dead later? Well, if you're dead later, you're with Jesus. You're living the dream anyway. So you don't have to worry about if you're dead later, right? So we didn't do a lot of things so that we could accumulate the wealth that we enjoy today. We enjoy a life today like you do. I mean, dude, look, we're closing the month today. 30 recruits we did 30 grand in premium. We did $1.8 million. That's just in my base shop. And I'm working, but I'm not working for money anymore. I'm working for purpose. I'm working to change people's lives. Now, I know that'll bring me more money. Okay, it'll bring me a lot more money, but my hierarchy already brings me money, I think when you're good at what you do and you're great at it and you love it, like Hector uses this line that money and wealth chases greatness. Money and wealth chases greatness. So if you're great at what you do, and like Bill Arender and I and Larry Weidel and our upline Greg Fitzpatrick and Hector and all these guys, money comes to us because we're great. And every one of you listening has the opportunity to become great. But because of your daily decisions, you don't become great. And so now, rather than money chasing you, you're coming up with excuses or reasons or rationale why you're good. I'm good. Have you ever heard that, Bill? I'm good. Well, your wife works a job. No, but we're good. But you have debt. No, but we're good. We can handle the debt. But your kids go to public school with those animals. Yeah, but we're good. But you live in a neighborhood that's not, but we're good. It's okay. I have good neighbors. My neighbors are good, so I'm good. You ever hear that, Bill? The I'm good response?
All the time. And the big decision is, like tomorrow, Saturday. We would rather go out all day Saturday and make $1,000, where people would rather work around the house so they don't have to pay somebody to save 100. Talk about that, Omar. And in your perspective has got to change, Omar.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of our RVPs yesterday. I drop in offices at times to, see who's there, So I dropped in this one office. They have like 5 RVPs and only one of them was there. And I walk in his office and I start talking to him about his business. And I go, you work Primerica like a job. You work at like a 200 grand a year job. You're here, it's 1 o'clock, it's lunchtime, you're gonna go to lunch, you're gonna do your Zooms, you're gonna knock out your appointments, you're gonna get referrals. I never hear you talking about recruiting and building and who I just got to Sprint District and this new recruit I got that I'm pumped up about. And I just licensed 5 guys this month in my never. All I hear about is, hey, I got this rollover coming for 200,000 and I got that. I said, you're choosing to work Primerica, and most people do this, like a job rather than the business opportunity that it is. And there's gonna become why you either get wealthy or you don't, right? I mean, the reason we're wealthy is we took the opportunity and built. Even if you work it like a job, you should still recruit and train people to do what you do, right? Because at least then you'll still have a business, right? But I just think there's really a mind change that people have to make. They have to stop with the I'm good, how it is, I'm good. That if those words are coming out of your mouth, then you have the wrong mentality. Like, that's a great test. If you ever use I'm good, okay, you're not good. Number two is you're too comfortable, you'll never get wealthy. You have to get uncomfortable to get wealthy. Like really, I would rather not be running a base shop right now. I visited with Hector spring break last year, and he always told us he wanted to live like he was on vacation. Let me tell you, Hector lives like he's on vacation. We went down to Cabo. He lives in this place called Querencia, which is probably the nicest place you could live in Cabo. And we were there a week. And I was like, Hector, this is your life every day? He goes, well, sometimes I fly to Newport Beach. Newport Beach is like an amazing place. And I stay there because my grandkids are there. And so I'm there half the time, here half the time. But Hector's already wealthy. He could do that. Bill Orender is already super, super wealthy. He could do that. People tell me, you're wealthy, Omar. You have $19 million. I don't know why, Bill. Tell me what's wrong with me. I don't view it like I'm super wealthy. I view it like I'm entry level wealthy, but I have to have 50 million, $100 million to be in that category of, okay, I can live like I'm on vacation, right? 100 million, is that a twisted mentality or is that a good thing?
That's an Omar mentality, and that's a mentality. It's kind of like health. I mean, it can't be a one-time thing. I mean, spiritually, I don't want to fall out of love with my God. I don't want to fall in love with my wife. I don't want to fall out of love with creating wealth for myself, because when you create wealth for yourself, you're creating wealth for others.
Sure.
Talk about that, Omar, and how, a lot of people, like, they go under RVP run. And then they go RVP, they make the RVP, it all falls apart, and they go back to, income as if they were district. And a lot of people, they get their $100,000 run. We're not on a run. We got a 100-year plan. Talk about that, Omar. You talk about 5 generations and how you have to have a lifetime plan that will outlive you, Omar.
I hate the word run. I'm on my RVP run. I'm on my ring run, right? I was never on any run. I was like, if I just keep doing the right things, everything will come to me. Every dream that I ever wanted to achieve, every goal I ever wanted to do will all come to me. And the lives that I changed in the process. I mean, if you think about this, we have 10 different people, Bill, in our hierarchy that earn over $1 million a year. We got 128 people that have the 100 grand plus ring. We got like 220 people with their watches, right? So all of those families have been impacted because I wanted to make money and I wanted to create wealth, right? Because if I didn't want to create the wealth that I've created and want to create, I would not have done the work that was necessary and all those people. And even today, we have a whole flock of new people in our base shop, just young, pumped up, want to change their life, want to do big things. And if I was good, if I went around saying I'm good and I wasn't involved and I wasn't helping all these people, I don't know what life would be. My wife tells me, Omar, you'll never retire. And I go, yeah, I will. I'm sure. She says, you will never. And Olivia tells me, Dad, you'll never retire. You love it too much. You love the hunt. You love to build. You love the wealth creation. You love to change lives. You love to have impact on other people. Like I help people like you do, Bill, that they're not even in our hierarchies, And if I can notice the gleam in their eye and they have the work ethic and the desire and the discipline, I'll help them. I will not help people that call me, hey, I'm just struggling. I did 1 by 1. Okay, well, when you're doing a lot more than that, you can call me and talk to me, right? But I don't know. I think the lives that I've changed by wanting to create wealth and do big things in life, the family, the clients, the people that have retired, the kids that have gone to college, the widows, either widows or widowers, the husbands or the wives that have lost their spouse and we brought claims checks to. Think about all the lives that we bring value to in our desire to accumulate wealth. We're not hurting people to accumulate wealth. We're not screwing people to accumulate wealth. We're not doing harm to anybody in any way. We're the opposite. We are bringing good, trustworthy advice, honest advice, giving them business opportunities they would never have. And the more people we impact, the wealthier we get. So if you're like, I want to get wealthy, my number one question is, how many recruits did you recruit last week? I want to be wealthy. How many clients did you help last week? How many licensed reps did you get last month in your base shop? When it's 1, 0, 1, 2, you don't want to get wealthy. You just want to earn money. You want to earn enough money to pay your bills. That's what you want.
Omar, I love what you say. You talk about you just got to love it, and you want to be in the game. And my heroes are people, Omar, in their 90s. When I read about someone who's 90, like one of my heroes is Thomas Sowell. He's 92 years old.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's an economist, brilliant. Well, he's just so articulate, can explain things, but he's 90, he's still writing books. The guy that these 86-year-old guys that are creating new things, and they're still movie producers and directors, and they're still like Chuck Swindoll is 81 years old and he's still preaching. And talk about that, how that's got to be the joy of life. So there's no room for retirement in God's economy.
You tell me, where does it tell you to retire in the Bible? Tell me the verse that it tells you retire and do nothing. You have done all you need to do. Nowhere. There ain't a verse in there that tells you to do that. So as long as I'm able-bodied and I'm healthy enough to do it, like if you went to Primerica Online right now and you went to the homepage, I'm on the homepage 3 times, at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. It's crazy. But they're all training videos that I did, that I took time out of my life, flew to the home office, recorded these videos, these trainings that I did so that I could help all of Primerica, not just my hierarchy, but I could help everybody, right? So as long as I'm valuable, as long as I'm creating value and I'm helping people, I'm not going to stop. And my kids won't let me anyways, because here's what will happen, Bill. I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. Brady and Olivia, they're going to go to college. And then after college, for a couple years, they'll do whatever they want to do. And then they're going to realize, my dad's making $5 million a year. What the hell am I doing at this job at $100,000 a year? And they're going to come back. And then I'm going to have to take my old butt out in the field and train them, because I'm not going to let anybody else train them. They will learn the business the Omar Oropesa / Art Williams way. And so I can't retire, and I don't want to retire. I have a great way that I live my life, do all the stuff that I want to do, and work the business and grow the business. And so you only want to retire when you hate things. People who are at a job and they're looking like 228 days, 3 weeks, 2 hours, and 1 minute till I retire, Bill. You have those guys that have these retirement clocks on their desk. It's because they can't stand what they do. They wake up every day. They hate. I woke up this morning, I'm like, I got the O&O show. Then right after that, I'm driving into my office because we have some home office people there, about the new prepaid legal product, and they're bringing pizzas and drinks, and they're going to train us on that. And then after that, I'm going to come back home because Danielle and Olivia, they're on a girls trip at the beach, and I'm with Brady the last 2 days. So we've been doing stuff every day. So I'm going to get back here. We're going to go out to dinner, and then we're going out to watch Beetlejuice, the musical, tonight. He loves Beetlejuice, the movies, so the musical was in town. So I'm going to do it all. I'm going to work today. I'm going to earn profit today. I'm going to spend time with Brady today. We're going to create some good memories. And then Olivia and Danielle get home this evening. Maybe I'll make some memories there. But you know what I'm saying. I could live my life and I could do all the stuff that I want. Once you build a business, now you're going to have to take 5-10 years out of your life, bust your butt, and really work hard. But once you build your business, you do whatever you want to do. I mean, I don't know who it was. I was on a Zoom the other day. They were looking at me. They go, Omar, you look younger than you did 5 years ago. And I said, well, thank you. That's not true, but thank you anyways. They said, no, you really do look young. And they asked me how old you are. And I told them 55 years old. They're like, you're 55? They just can't believe that I'm 55 years old, right? And look, age is a mindset. Right? To me, I'm not 55. To me, 55 is that old guy. Like the old guy with the walker, 55. That ain't me. And it's just crazy. Primerica keeps you young. Building wealth, creating memories, doing these trips with your kids and your friends keeps you young. You know what ages you? Misery, stress, unhappiness, not being able to do the stuff you really want to do and you enjoy doing, not being able to provide for those you love the most, right? If the Lord took me tomorrow, and I hope he doesn't, but if the Lord took me tomorrow, I can honestly tell you, I have lived an amazing life. And the only regret I have one regret, Bill. My only regret is that we only had 2 children. If I had it to do over again, I would have had double that, 4 children, but I didn't know any better. And I was like, man, 2 kids is enough. And, I love my kids. We love our kids. God, you know that. But what would have happened if I would have had 4 kids? Maybe rather than me wanting to become a billionaire, maybe I would have wanted to become a multi-billionaire, right? Maybe all the goals would have been bigger and raised in elevation. I don't know. But that's my only regret in life. Other than that, Bill, I got no regrets, buddy.
We accomplished a lot today, Omar. And again, I want to make sure people know you've got to work constantly on your body, on your spirit. I went walking this morning. I had my prayer meeting this morning. I'm working a business today, connected with my children today. And I set my goals today financially. You can never stop. Because whatever you don't use, you lose. And we have the ability to make money. And let me just put a little thing out for Omar. I want your thoughts on this. I don't care what you think of Trump. I believe the stuff that's happening now will create fortunes in the market over the next 10 to 15 years, like we've never seen before. So that means that you start working now and start investing your money. And we don't have a government that's printing up money, which causes inflation. No, we're having a government that's getting out of the way and letting business do what it does best. And I read this article saying the Dow at 100,000, the Dow's at like 43, 44,000, which means the Dow can double in the next 10 to 15 years. So if you're going to start working and making money, now's the time to do it. Omar, make a comment on that. What you think it's going to look like the next 10 to 15 years in our economy?
I mean, you know that I love Trump, but his policies, whether you like him or you don't be ignorant. Go understand the policies, right? What he is doing right now, like one example, he just got Europe to let us go into Europe with our products with no taxes, right? So before, let me just give you an example. Before, if you live in Europe, you'd love to have a Corvette because they love America. So to have an American-made Corvette or a Mustang GT or a Cadillac Escalade, but they couldn't get them because we used to get taxed 100%. So it would cost double the price, so they're not going to buy that. And then our dumbass government would let them bring all their cars here. BMW, Benz, Volkswagen, what else is in Europe? Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Bentley. They could bring all their cars here to our market with no tax. So what happens is America's buying their products, but they're blocking off that the European nation buys our products. So what happens? We can't flourish in business because we can only deal with American economy versus all the other economies in the world. So he just pulled off what even the Democrats say was an unbelievable deal. That has to kill him, Bill, to even admit that. But he pulled off that we can now go into their market at zero tax, and they're still going to pay us a tax of 15%. So the tariffs that are coming into our country in the month of June, if you're not aware or you're not educated, is we had a $28 billion on the plus. Normally we're running deficits. We're in debt every month. In June was the first month we had $28 billion plus. We were in the black, in the green, not in the red. That was because of Trump's policies. So the policies of cutting costs, and if you hear anybody tell you Medicare is getting cut, all of our people, that's bullcrap. What they're cutting is the illegal immigrants that are draining the Medicare, that never paid a dollar into it, never worked here to pay into it, but they come here from other countries and they learn all the loopholes that the Democrats allow to get in there. And so we're cutting all of that off. So maybe they'll go back to their country, okay? And if not, we're going to escort them back to their country. But now GM, I'll just use General Motors, Ford, now they could go into Europe. So what's going to happen to corporate profits at General Motors and Ford? It's going to go up. So now what happens with the employees that work there? They could get raises that actually mean something. They could get better benefits. They could get better health care because they have more profits to make. The policies he's doing is unbelievable. Steel and aluminum, he will not negotiate. He will tax China on only steel and aluminum. He wants to negotiate the other stuff. Why is he taxing only on steel and aluminum? He wants steel and aluminum made in America. Why? Because if we're ever at war with China and we need steel and aluminum to make the airplanes and the rockets and the missiles, and China's the only one that can make the steel and aluminum, like our dumbass government for both Democrat and Republicans, okay? Both Democrat and Republicans for the last 25 years, 30, 40 years has been cheating on us. And really, that's why we've lost all our jobs of manufacturing. That's why towns like Detroit, Michigan went down, because when GM was blooming, Detroit, Michigan was a great place. Everybody had a lake house on Lake Michigan in Traverse City, right? Well, you go there now and there's homes you could buy for cheap. Why? Because nobody's got money. Trump is changing all that. If you build a business today, if you start accumulating your wealth today, you start investing your money over the next 10, 15 years, I believe my estimation of earning 12 is underestimating. So I believe when I reach Bill's age, I'm not going to have 300 million. I'm going to have 500 million. If I'm wrong, I'll have 280 million. Either way, I'll be rich, right, Bill? Either way. So these are all the things you need to understand. You need to get educated in business, money, and government. You need to learn those three things so you're not listening to media tell you lies and you believe it.
And Omar, last thing. These foreign countries are investing $3 trillion into our economy, and that will trickle down, and that $3 trillion will become 30 trillion. More jobs, more homes bought, more this bought. and the economy is going to boom. That's what happens when you get, in my opinion, a businessman in the White House.
Yep, 100%. Like to me, there's Republicans and then there's Trump Republicans, Trumpicans, I call them. I'm a Trumpican because, and hopefully JD Vance is learning all of this business stuff. If JD Vance is an intelligent person, which he is, I mean, homegrown, grew up in a drug-riddled neighborhood, drug addict mother, went to the U.S. Marine Corps, went to Harvard Law. I mean, the guy's a stud. If he's smart, and he is, he's learning what Trump is doing, and he's trying to get as close to Trump and understanding the process. So when Trump's out of office and JD's the next president of the United States, he can keep this momentum going. He can get us out of debt. If you got $28 billion in the plus a month, you could get out of debt, you know? So
again, our next meeting is on September the 19th, same time. And thank you very much, Omar. This has been a great session. Thanks, Tony, for all your help. We'll see you, God willing, on the 19th of September. All right, bye-bye.
have a good one, guys.
All right, everybody. So first off, just the coach's book is going to be available on Amazon, most likely by this Monday. Here's a picture of that book. It's called Everybody Wants to Be Somebody.